Welcome back, friends. Last guy here. Time for more The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Let's continue here. Here we go. Let's do some more. 22nd February, 9:23 a.m. The Old Bailey, Defendant's Antechamber. Oh great, I gotta figure out this guy's voice again. The Old Bailey. This place always makes me feel strange. I seem to get chills down my spine and break out in a nervous sweat all the time. Well, I didn't think I'd be back here so soon. That's my line! Good morning! Ah, good morning, Mr. Natsume. It was only 2 days ago that I was declared not guilty here. Yes, we somehow managed to prove we didn't stab Miss Green in the back. But now this! Another morning, another murder. And here I am again in this hellhole. I can't keep coming to court. I'm beginning to think he's right. It really does seem as though he's cursed. Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid I have bad news. Oh! Mr. Natsume, good morning. Calm down real quick. Yes, good morning. So, here we are again. Yes, again. Ooh. Judicial Assistant Miss Mikotobe Esquires! What's the bad news? Oh dear, you heard, did you? If you come in shouting at the top of your voice, people can't help hearing what you say! Oh, I am sorry. You've done nothing wrong, Mrs. Sato. Now what is it? Well, it seems that the prosecution of today's trial will be led by Lord Barrack von Zeeks. Yeah, that's all we ever fight. Von Zeeks? Ah! Oh no! Oh no no no! Oh no 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 no! This guy. The voice I have never nailed down. The so-called Reaper of the Bailey, the most legendary prosecutor in the land. Keeps getting his ass handed by me, though. In the trial 2 days ago, he pursued Soseki-san and I relentlessly. Of course, by the skin of our teeth, we managed to pull through. But still. Perhaps Mr. Natsume's acquittal in the last trial wasn't the end of the matter, after all. Yes, I know what you're thinking. The legend of the Reaper that says, nothing can save a person in the dock when Lord von Zeeks is the prosecutor. Oh no! That even if that person is not found guilty, the accused will meet a mysterious end one way or another. And we've experienced it firsthand. A man we successfully defended met the most terrifying end after his acquittal right here in the Old Bailey. Oh, do I have to put up with those ice-cold eyes going into my soul again? Cursed by evil spirits and now by the Reaper. Pair of petrifying perils. Potentially. Well, if it's potentially, at least you appear to have hope, Mr. Natsume. Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Ah, yes? I'm innocent. You have to believe me. You more than anyone now. Don't worry. I'll be your steadfast ally every step of the way in this battle. I promise. And this promises to be a hard battle, I fear. Well? The trial is scheduled to begin shortly. We should move into the courtroom. Let's go! Oh yes, I forgot to say. I'm afraid he won't be able to make it. Mr. Sholmes, I mean. Huh? That's probably for the best. Oh! If he were here, I might be tempted to rely on his help. And that could be seen as a weakness if Lord von Zeeks were to notice. He'd prey on it mercilessly. At least, that's my gut feeling. Mr. Naruhodo. You're right. Yes, you're so right. Oh, well said, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Well said. I swear on this sword at my side, and on the spirit of Cosmo that it harbors. I'll show him what a Japanese lawyer can do. I'll set you free, with honor. Again. Oh, yes. 22nd of February, 9:40 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. Oh, look at that! We got some new ones and some old ones. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. Alright, what voice am I trying this time? Just do like Vlad the Vampire, like, the prosecution is ready. Ha ha ha, oh my god. No, we're done. The prosecution is ready. I'll try something a little fangy, though. The defense is ready, my lord. Readiness for the trial, my learned Japanese friend, is not what the defense needs. What you need is readiness for your inevitable defeat. It's not just in my imagination, it's really there. Lord von Zeeks has such an animosity towards us Japanese for some reason. It was some time ago now that he first became known as the Reaper of the Bailey, I believe. These past few years, he hasn't appeared in court at all. Yet now he's back in the courtroom, though for some reason. Only when I'm defending. This Reaper, with his curious disdain for us Japanese, is a prosecutor shrouded in mystery. Still, this isn't the time to be pondering that. I have to concentrate on Saseki-san's trial. Furthermore, I now call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury. You have been chosen at random to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to fulfill your duty? Him again! Absolutely. I had a feeling this Larkin wasn't innocent before. I must say that I feel especially ruthless on days when my hat refuses to say right. Bunch of repeats except this one right here. Oh, well, I rather like how you're wearing your hat. I think the ruthless look is very fetching, actually. New lady! I need to be somewhere at 10 o'clock. I have a very important meeting. Let's make this quick. I couldn't agree more. I need to take home 5 bob tonight, or the missus will go through the roof. Oh, may the Lord show us all the light here, and lead his flock to a righteous verdict. The British jury system is very different to our own, isn't it? Am I going to remember those 6 voices? I'm going to try. It's quite extraordinary to think that the power of the judgment is in the hands of 6 members of the public, and that the judge can only pass sentence when all jurors are in agreement with the defendant's guilt. 6 citizens of London chosen at random. Or at least, that's the idea. I've seen most of them before! The prosecution would draw attention to the fact that the accused was on trial here, but 2 days ago. Accordingly, where possible, the same jurors have been asked to return for duty today. Oh, is that why? Very well, let us commence the trial. Lord von Zeeks, the opening statement, please. Still trying to find a voice to this guy. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is not the intent of the prosecution to cast doubt over your past decision. However, the innocent verdict afforded to this eccentric Nipponese before has had dire consequences. Did the accused repent for his wrongdoing in that affair? Far from it. Instead, he used his freedom to perpetrate a most blood-curdling crime. Namely that of the attempted murder of his neighbor lodger, an innocent Englishman. To explain the circumstances of the crime, the prosecution calls its first witnesses to the stand. The detective responsible for investigating the scene and the accused himself. Soseki and Gregson? Yep. Ooh. Witnesses, your names and occupations, please. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. Suzuki Natsume, from the Empire of Japan. My government ordered me to come here as a student, study your language and culture. Mr. Natsume. Yes, my lord, sir. I'm quite sure I'm not mistaken. That you swore an oath never to set foot in my courtroom again. I remember it as if it were yesterday. The day before, in fact, my lord. But close enough. Oh, believe me, this is the last place I want to be. Inspector, let's hear from you first. Explain the case for the court. Right you are, sir. The incident occurred at the Garden household where the defendant was lodging in the ground floor room with the victim, Mr. William Shamsphere. The defendant has already admitted to visiting the victim on the night in question. Mr. Shamsphere collapsed in his room as a result of poisoning by strychnine. Oh, strychnine! Oh, shoot! I know what that is. He was found the following morning when the landlord, suspecting something was wrong, broke down the door. This means, I presume, that the door to the victim's room was locked at the time of the incident? Correct, my lord. It was locked from the inside, making entry to or exit from the room impossible. Although the victim, Mr. Shamsphere, lives to tell tale, he very nearly didn't. The man was halfway to heaven when we first found him. I was the first officer on the scene, my lord. And I have a photographic print here that I took at the time to show how it looked. Liquid over there. Yes, a chilling scene indeed. The man looks very much deceased. That's right. Everyone present believed that's exactly what he was. Very well. I shall accept this photographic print as evidence for the court. The crime photograph has been entered in the court record. Now then, Mr. Natsume. Oh, yes! As the defendant, do you have anything to say at this juncture? They're haunted. They're haunted by evil spirits. Good gracious, what's haunted? My lodgings! There's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings. The tenant before me died in mysterious circumstances. A woman was stabbed by no one on the street outside. My neighbor was poisoned. And me! What about me? I've nearly been killed countless times. Killed, Mr. Natsume? How? Even on that fateful night it happened, when I returned from Mr. Shamsphere's room. I lit my gas stove and climbed into bed, but before long, the stove went out, and somebody tried to kill me! You must always extinguish all fires before retiring for the night, Mr. Natsume. But it's so cold! My runny nose would freeze. The point is, I didn't poison my neighbor. Oh, why am I being accused of this? Why is my existence so cursed? Thank you, witnesses. I believe I have a reasonably clear picture of events. If I could raise one more point, my lord. One more. Conclusive point. Conclusive? Go on. Fortunately, the victim, Mr. Shamsphere, has regained consciousness after his ordeal. And he has named the true culprit. The poison consumed by the victim was administered in a cup of tea that he drank on the night in question. Tea, my lord, that was brought to the victim's room by the accused. The accused? Good grief! Order! Order! Yes, that's the crux of this whole case. If Saseki-san is innocent, then why? Why has the victim accused him? Well, Mr. Natsume, what have you to say to this accusation? That evening, yes, I did take some freshly brewed tea with me when I visited Mr. Shamsphere's room. As a gift. The public water pump outside always freezes at night, so I bought bottled water especially to make it. There's bottled water at this point in time? And this is the result. Never will I touch tea again. Never. public pump was frozen, you say? That's not information we've heard before. That will do, thank you. Now, according to our laws, the defense must have the opportunity to cross-examine witnesses at least once. Therefore, I call upon these witnesses now for a formal testimony. I presume the prosecution has no objection. None whatsoever, my lord. Good. Then you will give your account of events on the night in question to the court now. Yeah. Yes, my lord. Ah, my throat already. Jeez, all this yelly voices. The catastrophic night. It was around 9 o'clock that evening when I visited my neighbor. I took some tea with me as a gift. We had a heated literary debate over a nice hot drink, after which I went back to my room at around 11. Ah, my tea was completely harmless. He couldn't have locked the door behind me otherwise, could he? Ep9 takes some time to have an effect on the body. People don't keel over immediately after taking it. The victim would have been perfectly able to lock the door after his guest left. The argument still stands. Alright. Pressing times. Yes. I see. It all seems relatively straightforward. Excuse me, but that testimony does raise one rather crucial point, I think. Mr. Natsume claims his tea to have been harmless. Presumably, though, the teacups have been examined for traces of the poison, haven't they? Oh, why didn't I think of that? Okay, my voice is all stretched out. Why didn't I think of that? Well, as it happens, no. We haven't been able to. Someone took the cups! Did I hear you correctly, Inspector? Scotland Yard has failed to examine the suspect substance. How could you overlook something so important? Isn't that the first thing you should have done? My learned Japanese friend is falsely incensed. Huh? The inspector said Scotland Yard was unable to examine the teacup. Not that it was overlooked. Unable? Why? It's simple enough. There was none left. Not a drop. What about the stain? Someone must have been very thirsty indeed. With current scientific techniques, it's not possible to test for poison under such circumstances. We only need a drop, but that one drop does actually have to exist, funnily enough. The lack of examination notwithstanding, it appears nothing other than the tea had passed the victim's lips on the night in question. I see. Thank you. The matter is clear. Cast your eyes over the jury, my learned friend. What? You can see it in their faces, I'm sure. The recognition of the accused's guilt. That lady is dressed very nice. Your client's fate is all but sealed. In mere moments from now, you will lose, and your compatriot will be damned for all eternity. He's right. I can feel all 6 of the jurors looking daggers at me. Ow. But I can't let them beat me down. I won't. Counsel for the defense, proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. Cross-examination. The catastrophic night. Other hand. Press. Hold it! Hold it! Were you and your neighbor good friends then? No! We weren't friends. Not at all. Not at all! Never. Ever. A simple no would have sufficed. Then, why did you decide to pay him a visit? Trying to become friends. Mr. Sanchez fancies himself as having great literary knowledge. As a fellow scholar of English literature, we find much to talk about together. Come now, no Japanese could understand the finer points of English literature. And Von Zieg's German. And on the night in question, that was the topic of conversation as well, I presume. It was the day of my last trial when I was acquitted. I had just arrived back at my lodgings, and I ran into Mr. Shamsford outside on the street. That was around 6 o'clock. We exchanged one or two pleasantries, but it soon turned into a heated discussion. He was on his way out at the time, though, so I promised to visit his room that evening at 9 to continue our debate. But did I have ill intentions? No! Not one! Not two! Not any! Not at all! Never! Ever! A simple no would have sufficed, I feel. Then tell the court what did happen when you visited the victim's room.
Hold it!
A literary debate about Shakespeare's works, I think you said, didn't you? Shakespeare? Ah, very worthy topic of conversation, I must say. Oh, yes, my lord. Romeo and Juliet. Who was stronger? It was a profoundly pleasurable parley. Romeo and Juliet. Who was stronger? I know I'm going to regret asking this, but how did the debate go? Well, we both agreed that we would reach a conclusion more quickly with a reenactment. So we battled it out in a Greco-Roman style, naturally. What? Mr. Shamsford had all sorts of costumes in his room for such a contest. So when you say a reenactment, you mean you were actually in costume? He as Romeo, I as Juliet, and after a vigorous wild tussle, I as Juliet came out on top. A victory I'll cherish forever. I dare not imagine the terrible scene of carnage. The fact remains that it was you who prepared the tea and took it to the victim, correct? I boiled the water in my room and made a pot to take with me. I'd heard that he was too poor to have tea himself, you see. It's true, there was no sign of any tea leaves in the man's room. I wanted to do something nice, to be friendly. So why is everyone looking at me with such suspicion? My tea was harmless, of course it was. And do you have any basis for that statement, witness? Press.
Hold it!
Yes, there was not a drop of tea left in the victim's room anywhere, was there? That's correct. Anyone would think the fellow had never had a pot of tea before. He must have licked it dry. Which is a pity, because one drop is all we would have needed to analyze it for poison. Can you say that you returned home to your room at 11 o'clock, Mr. Natsume? Yes, definitely. By heaven and earth, I swear it. The landlord was able to verify that as it happens. He confirmed that the defendant went back to his room at 11 at night. And how is the landlord able to attest to this? He, said it was the lamps, I believe. The lamps, Inspector? When tenants return to their rooms and start using gas, the lamps in other parts of the house flicker. Yes, Mr. Garrett seems to pay a lot of attention to the comings and goings of his tenants. There's only one key to Mr. Shamsford's room. I know that for certain. So he must have locked the door himself. From inside his room. The victim has confirmed that to be the case, yes. So I'm right. My tea was harmless. Completely harmless. If you take poison, you die. Everyone knows that. It's not that simple, I'm afraid. What do you mean? This part?
Hold it!
How long does it take for symptoms to appear, then? According to the coroner I was speaking to at the yard, about 30 minutes after the poison is consumed. And the victim suffers violent convulsions, cramping, and stiffness, and eventually dies from asphyxiation. There's a 30-minute interval between when the poison is ingested and the onset of symptoms. There seem to be a lot of different types of poison in the world, that's for sure. Oh dear, death by poisoning again. It's always so awful. 30 minutes is a long time. certainly long enough for the victim to have locked the door behind the accused after he left. You can't deny that. And it further degrades the Seki-san's alibi. I had the medical report from the doctor who examined the victim here, my lord. It spells out, really, the accused is the only person who could have done it. Very well. The court will add this report to the court record as evidence. Alright. Oh yes, I see it here. Delayed onset of symptoms. Great. One more press.
Hold it!
The argument still stands, you say? This is what Mr. Natsume has been saying, isn't it? The pair of them drank tea together that night, so if there was poison in it, the victim wouldn't have been able to lock the door after the accused left it later on. Exactly, me and my tea are innocent. Sweet and innocent, I tell you. I'm afraid, sir, that doesn't follow. You see, strychnine is a slow-acting poison. In other words, it takes time for symptoms to appear. So you could have left the room up to 30 minutes after the victim drank the tea. And as long as you did that, Mr. Shamshir could have locked the door after you'd gone. But... we drank the tea straight away. The battle over whether Romeo and Juliet was stronger, that came after the tea. Do you have any evidence to support that statement? In my great homeland, the Empire of Japan, we have a saying. Drink tea while it's hot. Sure, a proverb will satisfy the prosecution. Surprised the Sato didn't have a thought. I'm afraid there's no conclusive proof to support the defendant's assertion. On the contrary, there are sufficient grounds to infer his guilt in this matter. No! That's the extent of their testimony, is it? If I could voice it a personal opinion, Mr. Naruhodo. Of course, go ahead. Mr. Natsume is arguing for his innocence so adamantly and so persistently that Inspector Gregson just brushes what he says aside. It's really quite infuriating. I agree. So we need to find an inconsistency in what the inspector is saying, I think. I'm afraid so. As things stand, the jurors are sure to find Mr. Natsume guilty. As I see it, what we need to focus on is the poison and the tea. Let's listen carefully to this testimony again. Yes. Alright, let's look at the evidence and take a look at it. Examining new stuff. Yeah, let's link it over there. Teacup there. The teacup's over here somewhere. Examine again. We're gonna try to press this in there. Present this.
Objection!
Nope! Wrong choice. My lord, there are clearly grounds for being suspicious of that last statement. I'm sorry, counsel, but I fail to see why. Well, you know, I was just playing devil's advocate. Yes, you do appear to have something of the devil in you, Mr. Naruhodo. Says the man merely dishing out penalties. Okay, we better save. I'm gonna try to touch on this. Although we're supposed to hit Gregson. Let's try this one.
Objection!
Nope, alright. Because of the time, but alright, okay. Okay. Okay, just focus on Gregson. Focus on Gregson.
Objection!
No? I didn't read it last time. My lord, there are clearly grounds for being suspicious of that last statement. I'm sorry, counsel, but I fail to see why. Well, you know... Oh, and I already did this one. I thought it was the other one. I appear to be the devil here. Ah.
Objection!
I'm at a loss already. Fudge. Fudgety fudge fudge. Fudgy fudge fudge fudge. Fudgety fudge. Okay, we're throwing everything at the wall because I'm not smart enough to figure this one out. Let's read this all again to see why this is what it is. The victim would have been perfectly able to lock the door after his guest left. The argument still stands. Present. 30 minutes after ingestion, highly likelihood of the substance have been mixed with the tea victim was drink. The samples of okay, about 1:30 a.m. Okay. No container of poison was found at the scene. Alright.
Objection!
Present. The argument still stands, you say? I think not, Inspector. Come again? I think you'll find that you've overlooked a very significant chronological inconsistency here. A chronological what? What are you on about? According to this report, the victim must have consumed the poison at around 1:30 in the morning. And yet, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, left the victim's room at 11. I already forgot that part. Ah! Yes, that's right. There's more than 2 hours of missing time there. In other words, if there was poison in the tea that Mr. Natsume brought to the victim's room, how could the victim have fallen ill to it 2.5 hours after the defendant left? Why did he do it too? The defense's argument is entirely reasonable. How do you respond, Lord Von Zeeks? Time to have some wine on the job. Pray forgive the discourtesy if my mind has wandered. I was considering what cuisine would best complement the contents of my hallowed chalice this luncheon. How could it have happened, you ask? I do hate to shatter illusions, but my Nipponese friend appears to be chasing a phantom idea. A phantom? Is it so hard to imagine that the victim drank his tea after the accused had left? For example, at the time stated in the medical report? Yes, at around 1:30.
Objection!
Mr. Natsume brought the tea with him to drink together with his neighbor. And in Japan, there is a well-known saying, drink tea while it's hot.
Objection!
And in my country, there is an even more apt saying. There's nothing more refreshing than cold tea. The point is, if there was such a long gap, there may be other ways to explain how the victim came to be poisoned, other possibilities. What sort of possibilities, Counsel? Shoot! Well, for example, the man could have had another visitor. Another visitor? That's a very bold assertion, my learned friend. From someone who has nothing to substantiate it with. Or the victim could have taken the poison of his own volition. You suggest this may have been a suicide, Counsel?
Objection!
Master Shamsu has categorically denied suicide. The idea can and must be discounted.
Objection!
But he could be lying. Is something wrong, Lord Von Zeeks? I was listening to the sound of the carriage pulling up outside the courtroom. Pray forgive the discourtesy. Carriage? What carriage? It would seem that the key player in this case has just arrived. Hold it! So, what's the voice of Shamsphere again? I already forgot. Out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Who, sir, are you? William Shamsphere, my lord. Alas, 'twas I, undone by these bitter events. I am the victim. What? What's he doing here? The prosecution seeks to call this gentleman to the stand. With his testimony, my learned friend's futile resistance will be utterly crushed. You're calling him as a witness? Very well, counsel. I grant your request with interest. I'm curious to discover what the court shall hear from the victim himself. They even got a thingy. A scepter? Happy am I, Shamsphere, to regale thee with my tale of woe, my lord. But I still have my own tale to tell. My own tale of worse woe. I can regale the court with the tale of my perfect innocence in the perfect English. That will do, Mr. Natsume. Let the court now hear from the victim. We'll probably stop right... Why is that guy here? Why is Popeye here? Alright, so that's Mr. Shamsphere. But who's that other man beside him? Yes, I feel sure we've caught a glimpse of that man before. State your names and occupations for the court, please, witnesses. I'ma give me a day to figure out the voice for that other guy. So I'm gonna pause there. We're gonna save there. Look, I can't do Popeye because one, it's you can't understand a word Popeye says, and two is I ain't got that voice. I think I'll just give him some sort of rough voice of some kind. It's like, I'm a guy, and I'm a jerk. Maybe, I don't know, I could actually be a good guy. Which hopefully I can distinguish enough from the other guy who's Mr. T. Like, I'm Mr. T, fool. Yeah, okay, I got it. I can signify those two. Alright. But that's it for now. I had fun. Hope you have fun watching. That's what's all about it. Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.